Facebook, what is up? And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Mortgage Coach Mastermind Call. Every Friday for over 3 years, I have been showing up. You know, sometimes I'm not here, but I try to always be here because I just love it. I love this format because it's a mastermind format. And to make it the best mastermind possible, we'd love comments from you. So whether you're watching this in Zoom or whether you're watching this in our Facebook group, you've got two amazing leaders on today's call. As my wingman and co-host, we got Dan Keller. What's up, dude?
Hey, good morning, Mortgage Coach community. It's great to be here this morning.
So I think anybody in this community, you need no introduction, but there are some new loan officers coming in at record pace into the mortgage industry. So Dan, if someone is a new loan officer, you know, tell them how many loans did you do last year? What kind of production you're doing? And then let's bring Dale on stage and get after it.
Yeah. Last year was an anomaly year, right? So we did about 420 loans for about 190 million. I'm normally a $90 to $100 million a year loan officer. So I think last year kind of pushed me to maybe bust through that ceiling of, I think I can maybe do more. So we did more, and we set the bar a little higher this year.
Well, congrats on your leadership, dude. And I love you, man, because you're just so humble. So a lot of people don't know his wife is also a social media influencer. Follow Jenny Cookies. My wife, dude, Jenny is playing at a whole new level. Like she is inspiring the Savage family to make more cookies and make them better. So congrats to Jenny Keller. Yeah. Also, Dan took a new leadership role this year. Anybody that's heard him, I mean, his backstory was college baseball coach, college professor who became a loan officer. And guys, he's coaching baseball again for one of the top high schools in the Seattle market. He's the head baseball coach. And Dan, I know that's where your heart's at, man. So congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I love working with kids, and right now more than ever, I think kids need guys like, you know, all three of us and your entire community right now, inspiring them and just filling them full of hope and leadership. So I'm loving it. It's my second year there, and it's going to be fun. We were there this morning at 6 a.m. in the dark at the stadium. So getting our work in.
Well, I can't wait to see how you kids grow. And more importantly than how they perform this season, I know they're going to be better men and better human beings as a result of the season you're going to have with them this year. So right on, bro. All right, guys, let's bring on our special guest, Dale Vermillion. Dale, I think this is the third or fourth time I've had you on the stage in the past 6 months, and it's a real gift. Thank you for making time.
Oh, Dave, it's always an honor to be here. Excited to be with you. Appreciate your friendship and partnership. And Dan, great to work with you too. And hats off to you for the work you're doing with the youth, man. Helping the next generation is what it's all about. That's our give back that we should all be having. So good for you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So guys, I'm going to give a little backstory on Dale. Dale came in and did some coaching and training for me back in the early days of Mortgage Coach when I was an operator. And I just always remember, like, I took so many notes. I got so many ahas. It was like one of the best sales trainers ever. And then he's gone on for the past couple decades to be one of the nation's top sales trainers. I don't know anyone that knows the science of lead conversion better than Dale. And he helps distributed retail platforms, but he also helps a lot of consumer direct platforms. And guys, that's science of selling. I mean, they have all the metrics, how much phone time are people spending? What's their conversion rates, credit report to conversion, and consumer direct. They measure every step of the sales process in a fanatical way. And they are happy when they just get a 1% improvement in every stage of the funnel. And so I think it's a real gift. If you are a referral-based mortgage professional, this is going to be special. And if you're the leader of referral-based mortgage professionals, we've got someone pretty unique and pretty special. Dale, anything you want to add to that before we get into the topic at hand?
No, I think, Dave, you said it really well. Look, you don't win the deal if you don't convert the lead. That's all there is to it. And one of the things that I am constantly preaching in today's marketplace is that you've got to remember that in today's market, the consumers are changing dramatically when it comes to loyalty. So a lot of times, if we're in distributed retail, for example, and we get a referral lead, we can tend to fall into that trap of thinking, hey, that's my realtor, that's my deal, that's my lead. That customer's going to work with me. There's no assurance today. You got to win every deal, no matter where it comes from, and make sure that you give a full court press 100% to every single customer in every single situation. And then you really do earn the business and you increase your referral business on the backside. So, lead conversion is critical to everything because that's your first impression. That first minute of the call is the most important minute of the entire transaction. It's where you set the foundation. It's where you start to build the mindset of the consumer, of your integrity and your confidence and your belief systems. It's a really powerful start to everything you do.
And I love what you said there, because the other thing is not only do we got to win the deal, we got to keep winning the deals, because rate shopping is like omnipresent. It's like if they even applied for a different lender, they're probably getting retargeting, and if they've identified themselves in social media as someone that's getting a mortgage or shopping for a home, they can't help but get rate quotes right and left. So you not only got to win at the point of sale, you got to differentiate so that consumer is like, even if I can get a better rate and a better deal, I love this loan officer. And it's beyond the transaction love. Dan, anything you want to add to that as a guy that's out there hunting every day and dealing with all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so big what you just said, that the first impressions matter with lead conversion. It's where it's your value proposition. It's where you establish your integrity as a loan professional, as a mortgage professional. And so what you say matters. That's really what what 2020 did for me. Is I had to kind of rework my model, where lead would come in and either myself or one of my team members would make point of contact. We were so busy. I was running from phone call all the way to conversion, all the way to approval. And what my big aha from 2020 is, why in the hell did I ever quit doing that? Why did I ever quit having that great initial conversation and then hold their hand through the approval process? So you're so spot on, and that builds that confidence and that integrity. And then they can see your principles and your value as a mortgage professional. So I can't wait to learn more, hear more what Dale has to say about this.
So remember, guys. Oh, you were going to say something, Dale?
Stat that will really get people thinking in a different mindset in today's marketplace. Recent studies that I've read tell us that today's consumer, from the time they initiate a lead, now you got to remember something. Zillow did a study a couple of years ago. They studied 1 million mortgage customers, and they looked at their buying habits. What they found was 88% of people go online before they ever talk to a lender, a loan officer, or a realtor. Really important to understand that. So everybody's been online and they've seen rates, they've seen quotes, but they've also done something else. They've clicked a bunch of buttons. And what you need to understand is today's studies tell us that from initiation of interest for a consumer to the time they fund the loan, they will be solicited between 100 and 200 times from different lenders, because you've got credit triggers, smartphone triggers. Remember, Alexa and Siri hear everything we say. So if a customer's working through their phone, they're going to get hammered every time they get on that social media. You've got all these triggers happening through marketing bots throughout the country and throughout all the technologies we deal with. So they're getting hit on their cell phones, they're getting hit on their computers, they're getting hit on mass media, they're getting hit on billboards, radio ads. You have got to make sure that you not only convert that lead, but you protect that lead by nurturing the relationship through the process, like Dan just talked about, and making sure you carry that professionalism all the way through to the end. Sometimes we think once we've got it in pipeline in the process, we're good to go. You're not good to go. You got to keep that going on beyond to really ensure you're all in conversion rates.
Love that. So Dan, I also want to give you permission, while I'm the moderator and I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach. To me, my goal is to talk the least. So if you want to just ask Dale questions, Dale, if you want to ask Dan questions, like I don't need to lead everything. You guys ask each other questions. So I do know from a framing of this call, I wanted to do sales training, because I do think distributed retail doesn't train enough. I interviewed Sean Benashian. Sean, I hope I said your last name right. #1 team leader in America. His team closed 3,551 loans last year for $1.7 billion. And I interviewed him this Tuesday. And while I got a lot of takeaways from that interview, one of them was how values first he was. Like, he was all about what our team values are. I was blown away with how humble he was. You just think like #1 loan officer in the country, may not be the most humble loan officer in the country. And he was one of the most humble people I've ever met and led. But big takeaway, guys, when we rolled out Mortgage Coach with his team and they're implementing it, they train daily, 4 days a week, 30 minutes a day, 20 to 30 minutes a day. They train daily. And I just thought, interesting, the most busy, most successful figures out how to train daily on everything, whether it's product, whether it's conversion. Right now they're training on Mortgage Coach. How do we give every family a Mortgage Coach scenario? So Dale, question to you. Remember, Dan, let's pile on to this. What do you think for distributed retail loan officers and companies, what the training regiment should be? What's the Dale Vermillion advice?
Well, I'm going to start with this. All right. We all have a choice in our careers of being one of two kinds of mortgage professionals. We can be a professional or we can be an amateur. What divides the two? Well, the same thing. And Dan will be able to speak well to this as a college coach for baseball. What separates amateurs and pros is their level of practice. That is the number one thing that separates them. So in any environment, and I teach, I teach leaders all over the country. And the number one thing that I teach leaders about running their teams is you have got to have a daily team meeting every single day with your team to get things right and get everybody in the right mindset from the start. What are you doing in that meeting? It's a 15-minute meeting. We call it a 5-5-5. And it's as simple as making sure that you spend 5 minutes to make sure everybody's goals are aligned, everybody's mind is right, everybody is focused on sales and not on problems. One of the big mistakes we make, particularly in distributed retail, is we start our day by opening up our email and we do nothing but delve into our problems. And by the time you get to the afternoon where you think you want to sell, you got nothing left in the tank because you've been fried from all you've been doing. So you set your sales goals, you spend at least 5 to 10 minutes training on one thing every day. Every day you should be improving a skill. Every day you should be working on learning a new approach to things that you do. And podcasts like this and all of the information out there in the media today can help you to have constant things that you can be working on to improve your sales abilities. If you do that every day, what you're creating is not only motivation, but you're creating knowledge base, you're creating growth in what you're doing, and you never get stagnant. And remember, you don't know what you don't know. We go in and we think, well, I've been doing this for a long time. I've got my rhythm. I've got my routine, and that's great. But if you're not growing, then what's happening is you're starting to atrophy. There's only two directions we go, up or down. There is no flat line, because when you're flat lines, you're dead, as I always like to say. We're either going up or we're going down. And the minute we get to the point that we think we know it all, that's when our career is going to start to tumble. Because as I've always said, the minute we think we know it all is the point we start to atrophy down, because we've gotten to a point where we no longer have that teachable spirit. So daily training every day. And here's one more thing. Dan said something so important. I know we're going to talk about in this hour, and that is having a value proposition when you get on the phone with a customer. You darn well better have one that's well prepared, well rehearsed, very powerful. We can talk more about that, but let me tell you the key to that. You got to warm up the engine first thing in the morning. One of the things I was a manager for 11 and a half years. My last corporate job, I managed 900 loan officers nationwide. And I will tell you what I made them do. They could not take a lead. They could not take a call. They could not make a call if they did not spend 15 minutes role-playing and practicing their sales pitches in the morning. Why? Well, look, I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. I learned something in Chicago in January. You don't go out in your truck or your car, turn it on, put it in gear, and pull out of the driveway, because you're going to leave the drivetrain on the driveway, because oil is like sledge at 10 degrees. What you got to do is turn the car on, let it idle, let it warm up. And then when you get in, it's like being in Florida when you get inside and it runs smooth. You're no different as a salesperson. I don't care how many years you've been doing this. I've been a speaker 26 years. I've done 4,500 plus seminars. I still warm up before every single one, because I understand that I want my voice, I want my mind, I want everything engaged so that my first lead I get or my first referral isn't a practice run. I've already done the practice runs. I am now in game time. I am ready to go. I am prepared. I am warmed up. I am confident. When you do that, I promise you this, you'll double your conversion rates, because what happens is you're way more prepared than you've ever been before.
Boom. One of my biggest takeaways, and I'm pretty sure you're the one that brought this leadership to me 20 plus years ago, was not only train daily, practice, but stack your leads in a way so that you're calling your best first. So if I recall, you gave this thing like, hey, who qualifies? Who are you most likely to close? And then I think you had a cool factor. They're just cool. Like you're not going to call, I don't care how great a lead it is, that pain in the ass client first. You're going to warm up, train daily, score your leads, and then win by 11. Now that's when Todd Bookspan came up with win by noon. I was like, I'm in love. But is that still kind of the thing you teach, whether it's a call center loan officer or distributed retail, train daily,
Yep.
practice, stack your leads, win by 11? Is that still the Dale Vermillion play?
It still is. Yeah, I used to set a crazy rule with my loan officers. You couldn't check your email or voicemail before 11 o'clock. I wouldn't allow it. I'd fire you if you did, because I knew there was nothing good in there. All your problems coming in the morning. And you know what? What happens is most salespeople start the day with problems, as I mentioned earlier, and then by the time they get to sales, they're worn out. Start your day with sales, get to your problems later. Your problems aren't going anywhere. Trust me on that. If they're there at 9, they'll still be there at 11, and you can solve them then. And I've had loaners say, well, but my customers, they're going to think I didn't call them on time. They don't know when you start. You don't need to even tell them when you start. If you call them at 11:05, they could think you started at 11 o'clock. Here's the bottom line. Start at 9, prioritize your leads, get yourself warmed up, put them in order. There's always a priority mindset in everything you do. If you got 10 leads on your desk, there is one that's the best, one that's the worst, and the other 8 fall in order between those two extremes. Start with the best, because sales is about momentum and motivation and confidence. And when you sell more. You build that momentum you're looking for. I love to teach salespeople, you don't do anything but sales until 11 o'clock. So you build your confidence, you build your pipeline. And then if there's a cancellation in your email, or if there's a deal that falls apart, you're not blown out of the water for the day where you have absolutely no success that day. You're like, okay, already covered it. I'm good to go. And you move right through it and you move to the next thing. Sell early, sell often has always been my quote.
So I'm going to stand by win by noon, but winning by noon is to crush your prospecting goal by 11. Dan, what are your thoughts on what you just heard and any questions you have for Dale?
Yeah, I think this is just confirmation that the other day when you were interviewing Sean, it was, from a top producer to another top producer learning, I was more curious like how he scaled. And both I saw in that interview and Dale just confirmed it. You scale by these daily team meetings, by these daily team trainings. That's it. The daily team meetings, one thing, we all do that. I think that's something that I think if you have a team, you have to be doing that every day. But what is involved in that? I love it. And I want to learn more about that, Dale. I think I took some notes here a minute ago. You have this 5-5-5. So the first is, your 5 minutes on your goals, your values, your focus, your mindset. I'd love to hear what the other 2 5s are in that 15-minute time period.
So first 5, and here's the key to this, Dan, is your team has to come prepared to that meeting with what their sales goals and their primary objectives for the day are. So, what are the key leads I've got that I'm going to convert to a sale and get a committed borrower out of? What are the deals in my pipeline that I got to get wrapped up today that I'm going to get, closed out? And what are the other priorities for my day that I need to do today? That they need to have that established. And actually, if you do it right, they should forward that to you as their leader. And by the way, Dan, I want to say something. You made a comment a moment ago. We all do this. Actually, we don't all do this. You do that. And that's why you're doing $190 million per year. Okay. I train tens of thousands of leaders across the country. 90% of them don't have a daily meeting, believe it or not. Some of them don't even have a weekly meeting. The lack of communication sometimes just boggles my mind. It's so important that you do this. So the first 5 is then what you're doing is you're talking about the team now. You've already gotten your numbers from your team. You're talking from a team vantage point about, okay, here's what we're going to do today, guys. Here's what we're set out for today. And here's how we're going to attack that. The second 5 is that training moment. Pick a topic to train. And the way I love to do that is I love to divide it among the team. So if I have 10 people underneath me, I'm going to have one do this twice a month. Each person do it twice a month where they bring something to the table. It's collaboration. It's learning best practices from each other. That last 5 minutes is purely motivation. We're going to do something to get pumped up for today. That could be a great YouTube video. That could be a great movie clip. That could be a great article on sales. That could be a great 5 minutes out of a podcast. That could be something as stupid as standing around doing Zumba for 5 minutes. Now, by the way, maybe I shouldn't say stupid, but for an old guy like me, I can't do it. But if it gets the blood moving, if it gets people motivated, inspired, encouraged, that's what you want that last 5 minutes to be. Why? You want to launch your sales team in a way that they are ready to absolutely kill it that day. If you do that, you've got them on the right kind of plane to have a very successful day.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is insane, Dave. So hit pause real quick, Dave. I think one of your next trainings or productivity webinars needs to be on the perfect daily team meeting. And whether you're bringing in guys like Dale or guys that have big teams or great teams that just run. And I know Jeremy Forsey, I've talked with him numerous times. He runs an incredible daily team meeting, and that's who inspired me to up my game with it. But I'm going to up my game even more now. I mean, this is crazy. 50, and that's the other thing. They last for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. It's a waste of time. I love the 5-5-5. This is just so great.
So guys, I want to give you guys a little varsity tip too. I'm gonna play a self-serving video right now for 2 minutes. You know, some testimonials about Mortgage Coach. But I want you guys to think about what I'm playing right now. In Zoom and in the environment right now, we can play videos and integrate them into sales meetings in super smart ways. So I'm going to play this and unpack it. So the way I'm going to share it is I'm going to share it from Zoom. I'm going to go desktop share. Instead of showing my desktop, I'm going to pick the video. And in the bottom left-hand corner in Zoom, it says share sound and optimize video clip. I just want you guys to see, because this should be part of your sales meeting. How can you take outside content and videos and integrate them into a sales meeting? So check this out, guys.
Mortgage Coach for me is the most important piece of software that we use, and we've got a pretty good technology stack. But if I had just one piece, it would have to be Mortgage Coach.
It is without doubt a piece of technology that you want to invest in. And the reason is it gives not only your loan officers the platform to differentiate themselves from all of the other fee worksheet loan officers in the country, but it also allows for engagement.
And when real estate professionals got to see how professional and transparent and how educational my loan worksheets, my loan presentations were, it completely escalated that learning curve and how I moved up in the mortgage industry.
I never would be where I am today without access to the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. It just gave me access to loan officers nationwide, not in my own little bubble of where I live in, to be able to adopt the same strategies that they're using. It's invaluable.
The fact that all of Mortgage Coach's content is in YouTube, I can go really deep. And that allows me to have my loan officers go there, and it's easy for them to find without having to search all over some of the other mediums.
The TCA, the total cost analysis, allows you to create an experience for a client that puts you on par with the Ubers and the Delta apps and the rest of the way that people want to actually digest content.
I can directly track that the rate of return on my investment using Mortgage Coach is I close 33% more. If you were a company, if you were an owner, and you could increase your conversion by 30% more than you are right now, what's that worth?
So guys, so everybody, you could hear that super clear. If you use those features in Zoom, you just got a little varsity tip on how to integrate videos. And I could have had a YouTube video and I could have had that pulled up on my screen and I could have used those features. Now that was 2 minutes and 11 seconds. We do that a lot. Like when we're selling Mortgage Coach and I'm doing a demo, I'll integrate a video. I think personally, Dale, I'd love to hear your take. I think like 2 minutes, it better be good. You know, like I think integrating a 1 minute of video, no problem. Doing 5 minutes of video, it can start dragging on. What's your take on, first of all, what do you think of that move and way of sharing videos, and how would you integrate to the Mortgage Coach community when doing sales meetings? How long and how should they do that?
Yeah, look, brevity is critically important because first off, we all got ADD in sales. That's number one. Number two, we just live in a world where everything's fast. We live in a McDonald's society. So you want to get your point across. You want to get across quickly. 60 seconds to 120 seconds is the ideal time frame. It's got to be hard hitting. It's got to be powerful. No question about it. I think that's a great way to build a platform. I totally agree with that.
Love it. So guys, you heard it. 15 minutes, 555. Dan, challenge taken. If you are a leader, you're super elite, you're doing daily huddles and you're doing meetings, and you want to come in and lead by example, know that I'm going to be planning a call to do it. Dale, I'll invite you to come and co-host that with me if you want. So we will be doing a future call on a Friday once I find the right people to help me, like how to do a great daily sales meeting. Stay tuned, probably be at least a couple of weeks, maybe a month, Mortgage Coach community. And I'm looking for people that can lead by example, who have been doing this, who are elite to do it. So game on that. Dan, anything else we want to unpack before we transition? We're about halfway through. I wanted to spend the first half on sales training and leadership, and I want to spend the second half on specific tactics of lead conversion. But anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I think Dale, if you have operational people, so for example, in the mortgage space, my daily team meeting consists of myself, who's the main salesperson on my team, and 5 or 6 operational loan officer assistant type people. Is this 5-5-5 formula? Is it very similar if you have non-sales people on that call or in that meeting every day?
Yeah, it is. Look, first off, this is, Dan, you bring up a really important point here, okay? A lot of times what happens is we'll have our sales meetings, we'll have those regularly, and that poor ops staff gets forgotten about. That is a major mistake, okay? We're trying to build a team culture in everything we do. Your culture in your business, let me just say this to you, there is not a single thing that is more important than your culture. You got to have the right philosophy. You've got to have mission statements and vision statements for your team. You've got to make sure that you've established what integrity looks like. We all say we work with integrity, and that's great. But what does that look like in the real world? How do you parlay that to the consumer? So what I'm a firm believer is when you have your team meetings, incorporate your ops people into that team meeting. Make them feel part of it. They should understand the sales process anyway, and they should be an extension of sales. You never want to create that division between sales and ops where you've got, sales throws it over the wall to ops. That's a common process. And I say, no, we don't. We feed it right through to ops because they're our partners in everything that we do. If you get them more engaged in the sales process, what happens on the operational side is they start viewing loans differently because they're starting to understand why your sales team built the loans the way they did and the importance of those sales, and they built personal relationship. In 2020, one of the biggest problems I saw corporately across the nation, and I work with a lot of lenders, is there was major rifts between sales and ops because of all of the capacity issues and volume issues. And I was constantly saying, you guys need to bond back together. There needs to be some relationship management going on where you're really building that together, and you do it through communication, and you do it through teamwork, and you do it through team meetings and getting to know each other. And there's a lot of value that can happen. And here's the key to that. Don't let that become all of a sudden, well, here's our problem, where sales is telling ops the problems that they're having with ops, and ops is having the problems with sales. That's a whole separate meeting that you should have between your sales and ops leaders. This is truly a cohesive team meeting to treat everybody as part of that culture and to get everybody thinking from the mindset of goals, motivation, energy, training, learning, growing. It's a very powerful, positive environment. Does that help, Dan?
I want to add something. I did a site visit with Jeremy Forcier, and the people that came to it, I think they paid $5,000 a piece. So elite people come and do a one-day site visit, and I'll never forget it. We had a little huddle in the morning. Everybody's like, what are we going to learn from Jeremy? He's like, guys, you're getting ready to learn the number one most important thing you'll learn in the entire day you spend with me. And, it was like 5 minutes before his daily huddle with his ops team. And, he walked out 5 minutes late, and he's like, whether I'm there or not, it'll start on time. Yep. They were talking, and then we watched it, and he's like, that's the magic that helps this business scale. And I also was involved in a call, and Dan, here's another call we need to do in the Mortgage Coach community, how to do an ops meeting. We will invite Jeremy. Guys, he says, loan officers, new business, processors and ops, retention. It's not like they're separate. Like, we're all in sales. One side is bringing in new business and new loans, and one side is retaining that business and turning them into clients for life. So everybody in the company's in sales. So Dan, what are your thoughts? Like, we almost need to have like how to do the perfect sales meeting, how to do, what's the mortgage coach community way of doing sales and ops? And then it sounds like, Dale, let me ask you this. I do think, hey, there's a 15-minute sales, how we talk to salespeople, how we rev up to sell, how we jump into cold calling. That's a meeting. And our daily huddle with our ops team, that's a meeting. How often should it be a team meeting? Weekly? Or do you think more? Both parts.
I think the morning daily meeting is to get your entire team revved, ready, goals oriented, motivated, and trained. I think then with your sales team, you should have at minimum a weekly meeting that is dedicated to nothing but sales. I'll give you a quick history here, a quick story. So when I was a manager back in the 1980s and 1990s, I was a district manager where I had 250 loan officers in the Chicagoland area. And I did something that no district manager in the entire company did every single month, okay? I would take a day off once a month. I would take every one of my 250 salespeople. We would go into a conference room at a local hotel. We would spend half the day doing nothing but brainstorming on what are the best things that we're doing that's working, what's not working, and how do we build more sales every single day out of what we're doing. And I had my best producers talking about the things they were doing, and my lowest producers were learning from them, learning from me. Everybody was growing. I had very little inequity in my teams. Everybody was pretty much performing at the highest level. Then what I did was the second half of the day was we would go out together and do something fun. But here was the key to the second half. You had to hit the goal for the previous month to earn the second half. Everybody went to the first half. You're all going to get trained and you're all going to learn. But to go to the second half, you had to be a top producer. I laid a level every month where they needed to be. Now, here's the crazy thing. I took over a district. There was 45 districts in the company I worked for. We were 43 out of 45 when I took it over. We were number one at the end of the first year. And literally, when I did my first session, my first day that I took everybody, we had 10 loan officers that went for the afternoon thing and 240 that went to the training. At the end of the year, all 250 were all going out. So we'd go to the horse track. We'd go down and watch a Cubs game. We'd do something fun. And I had my regional vice president call me one day, about 6 months in, and goes, "Hey, you got to quit taking that day off with the people." And I said, "Excuse me, what rank am I right now?" He said, "You're number one." I said, "That's what I thought I was. I'm not taking the day off. That's why we're number one, because I'm the only guy who is making sure my people are well-trained, well-motivated, and excited about their role." So it is really important to understand, if you're not training your people, you are just letting them become, you can have a train wreck out there going on, because people lose sight of the power of knowledge and the best practices of other people. You want to build that best practices mentality by getting your people together and sharing those best practices with each other.
Wow, man, I got goosebumps, bro. That was an amazing story. And what rang through my head, I'm a big fan of Jocko Willink in the book Extreme Ownership. I've read it, I've listened to the audiobook, and in the first story that he tells, the takeaway is there are no bad teams, there are only bad leaders. And you just, made the case that you took not last place, but one of the last place teams and turned it into first place through leadership. So Dan, what are your thoughts on that, dude? That was pretty crazy.
No, there's no surprise. I mean, that's an incredible story. I too had, a little bit of goosebumps there, because it's the, what's that old saying? An incoming tide or a high tide raises all ships in the harbor, something along those lines. Right. And that's what you've done. You've taken your elite managers, and just through osmosis, just by getting them together, it raised the level of production. I mean, this is an incredible call. I'm learning so many great things. I think I don't oversee a bunch of salespeople. I oversee 4. Which is fine, but more so is my ops. And I'm seeing more so that I need to be more involved with my ops team, my loan partners, and encouraging them and making sure that they're crystal clear on our vision. They're crystal clear on what integrity means relative to the loan process and relative to our jobs. And then what you just said too, Dave, is that your operational people, and this is so big, we're focused on on bringing new loans in and going out and hunting every single day. And if you train and you inspire your ops people enough, they're in sales too. Everyone listening needs to realize this. If you got to train your operation people to identify wow moments, identify hey, thank you so much for that. You guys did amazing. Identify those moments and then capitalize on them. Train your people what to say next. We started that last year. Anytime someone says, great job, this was awesome, wow, we don't just say thank you. We take it the next step and we try to get what we call a current client referral out of that moment. So I think this is just so big, Dale, but what a story. There's no shock that you went from 220 to number one.
Well, I appreciate that. And let me add a couple of things to this that I think will be helpful to this conversation. So operations people, a lot of times when you tell them they're in sales, you're going to get pushback on that, or you're going to have reservation from them on that, because like, whoa, I didn't sign up to be in sales. Like that, they think of sales in the wrong mindset. And I've trained so many operations people over my career too. And I say, look, here's the deal. You are all in sales, but you got to define sales. What is sales? Here's the answer. It's solutions. That's all it is. Sales is not exuding pressure. Sales is not convincing somebody to do something. It's solving their financial need. That's what a mortgage does when done properly. We are in the greatest industry on the planet. Look, we get to help people not only become homeowners, but then when they become homeowners, we help them to actually create more affordability in their homes and use their equity for powerful purposes and build wealth and do all kinds of things that promote community and family and stability and all the things that we do. So as an ops person, you're in sales. And what that means is that you are just a solutions provider to our customers. And you're an extension of what the sales team is doing. And one thing I've always taught ops teams and sales teams is, I want you guys to know each other and I want you to start connecting the dots. When you get a referral from Joe, your loan officer, the very first thing you're going to say is you're going to open that call. First off, let me give a big tip here. Quit emailing everybody when you contact a customer the first time. It's always a telephone call. And you're going to introduce yourself, say, hey, I'm Sally, I'm John, I'm going to be your processor. And you know what? You're working with Joe, who's my colleague. And I'm telling you, you got one of the best. You know what? That loan officer getting that endorsement from the ops team is valuable, but the salesperson's got to do the same thing. Hey, I'm going to turn you over to John or Sally, and they're going to be the processor. And man, they're one of the best. Like, you want to create that, because what that does, it actually creates a high standard that makes people start to work towards that standard. When you actually promote people up to a level they've never been before, and you tell them you think they're great, they become great. I used to have this thing when I managed called 30 encouragements a day. You were required to give 30 encouragements a day, every day. I made my people do it. I'd make them literally make a checklist. You check them off. After about 3 weeks ago, Dale, I don't need my checklist anymore. I'm doing 50 encouragements a day now because it was become a habit. I taught them to do that so that we had a very positive, energetic sales force and operations team, and we all work together. And look, let me remind you all of this, okay? If any of you are still hesitant and say, well, okay, that sounds good, but I don't think I'm in sales. Look, if you're married, if you're in a relationship, or if you're a parent, you're in sales. Let's just be clear about that. So just think of it that way, because that's sales. That's what it is.
Dude, you're killing it, Dale. This is awesome. One last question, and then I want to get into some specific tactics that drive conversion, although I think you've done that. And you've given us something more important, like how to fish. Like, if you know how to do meetings and you know how to do this, you're going to get all the tactics. It'll all happen. What we talked about is going to be vastly more important than the next 20 minutes. But one more question, because I think it's important. So distributed retail, they're I don't want to call them mercenaries, but they're commission-driven salespeople, and they don't have to come to sales meetings. And then there's a lot of people listening to this that like, hey, I would love it if all of my people, we did a sales meeting and they came to it. But guys, they don't have to. They're not going to do it. And then because they have all these, meeting with realtors, doing all these things, it's going to be hard to get them all into a daily sales meeting. So just what are some tactics, and what would you say to someone looking at, say, like, they're listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm going to get good. I'm going to do a sales meeting. How do I get people to come? And remember, distributed retail. It's the standards of a call center are different than the standards of a distributed retail platform. What leadership do you have?
A couple of answers to that. First off, plan it early. Okay, make it early in the day. Plan it consistently. It's got to be the same time every day, like clockwork. You got to make it easy for people to manage your day around it. That's the first and foremost key to it. Okay. And then here's the key to all of it. And I kind of mentioned this earlier today, but I'll take it a little deeper. Collaboration is what will get them to come. The reason salespeople hate sales meetings is because it's just some person talking every time, every day, and it's the same old thing. Okay, what are we going to do today, guys? Okay, go out there and knock it dead. It's like, who wants to hear that every day? I don't have 15 minutes for that. But if every day I know that each time I come in, I'm going to hear from another one of my colleagues something different. Okay. And sometimes I'm going to be a contributor. I'm going to be teaching my colleagues how to do things. When you start to create that collaboration, even your top LOs are going to go, you know what? This is valuable. And when you're churning different kinds of things to motivate them every day, it's a different thing. Today, we might do some exercise. Tomorrow, we might do a video. The next day, we might do a podcast. When you're mixing it up and you're getting people involved and you're getting people to take ownership, you're going to see a big difference. And I want to say two more things that tie into all of this. There's an old quote, is one of my favorite quotes of all time. It's an old proverb. It goes like this: you can catch a fish and feed a person for a day, or you can teach them to fish and feed them for a lifetime. Look, I'm just going to say to every loan officer out there, if you're a senior loan officer and you're like, you know what, I don't really need sales meetings, I'm experienced, I'm going to say you do. You do, because you need to connect with your team. You need to be there to show up so that you're showing leadership. As a top producer, you're a leader in the eyes of the other people. When you don't show up, you're hurting the team, because they're like, well, you know, Joe is the top person and he doesn't come, so I guess it's not important. If you really want to succeed well, you got to build that team mindset. You got to build collaboration. And remember, as leaders, there's two primary things as leaders we should be focused on in our careers. I always said these are the only two things that matter for leaders. Number one is replication. Your job is to replicate yourself with your people. You know, the reason we get promoted to leadership is because we were the best salespeople. Well, you want people just like you underneath you. Your focus is to replicate. And when you think that way, it changes the way you lead people, because you start teaching them the great things you know and the great things others know. The second thing is transformation. Your job is to be transformational. It's to take your people from where they're at to what God made them to be, to make them the best version of themselves. Every employee you have, there's way more in the tank than you think there is. Trust me. People have shocked me my entire career as to what they can do. But if you focus on transformation, you encourage people, you lead people, you train people, you motivate people, you know what? Leadership is not hard if you do those four things, and results are phenomenal. Guaranteed.
Boom. Dan, anything you want to ask before I transition?
No, let's roll. You're on a roll, Dale. Keep it going, baby.
Yeah, right. So let's get into some, as many tactics as we can get on specific lead conversion. Obviously, speed to lead is essential. And sometimes you can be bad. You can have a bad conversation with people, but if you're the first one there, you win. So Dale, would you agree, like, speed to lead, top priority? Because you can be bad, have a bad value prop, not have the best rates, and you can win some deals just being the first one there. Agreed?
Velocify did a study of 3 million mortgage customers, and they looked at 3 million leads. And here's what they found. If you contact within the first minute of that customer showing interest, you have a 391% better chance of conversion. If you take that to 1 hour, it drops to 187%. And if you take it to a day, it drops under 15%. That's how today's marketplace is. So yes, speed to lead, absolutely critical. What it also does is I can tell you I've got great service, but if it took me 2 days to call you on your message, you're not going to believe it for a minute. But if I get your lead and bam, I'm calling you, you're like, whoa, whatever you say to them, they're going to believe you, because when you say you're good at what you do, they're like, yeah, you are. You got on it quick. And let me say one more thing, distributor retail, this is important. You know what call you want your realtor to get? I'll tell you what call you want your realtor to get. The one where the referral they sent you calls them 1 hour after they sent it to you and says, oh my gosh, that Dan Keller that you referred me to, literally, I hung up with you and my phone rang from him. That dude was a beast. That's the call you want your realtor to get, because your realtor is getting that call. They're going, oh, I'm sending more business to Dan Keller, because he's on it. He's working it. He's not letting them go. That's how you prove out your worth to your partners and to your customers.
Love it. So guys, we're not going to get to everything, but I do want to remind you guys, I wrote this article a couple years ago. I'm going to actually update it with some of the things I've learned from Dale. And I think a lot of the things I did learn from Dale, but we have this lead conversion playbook. It's an article on LinkedIn. I'll put a link to it down below, but it's a good document to review and just go like, hey, it's got some principles, it's got some strategies, know that there's a resource there. Dale, let's talk about value prop, because I think we have time to cover that a little bit. And I think that is so important that, like, when I look at the best of the best, they're not selling rates and fees, they're selling hopes and dreams. That's what we do with the total cost analysis. It's like, hey, family, what are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your goals? We always believe in like giving options. And by the way, how important is giving options versus, hey, here's a rate and a fee and a PDF with your rate and fee? How important is options over a quote? And then speak to value props.
So 26 years ago, when I started my company, Mortgage Champions, which is a training company for mortgage loan officers and operations teams and leaders, we built something called the Triangle for Success, which is the foundation of everything that we teach. And the Triangle for Success has 3 components to it: value, relationship, which I spell, by the way, REAL-ationship, real-ationship, and differentiation. Value is your value prop. You are not going to succeed in this business by being a rate quoter, because there's always a lower rate out there than you've got, no matter what you quote them. I guarantee it. So it's value proposition that gets you in the door. Relationship is what keeps you in the door and creates all your repeat and referral business. But differentiation, which is options, by the way, and advice, is the game changer for everything. Because here's the deal. At the end of the day, if I give you a great value prop and I build a great relationship, but at the end of the day, my loan offer is exactly the same offer as everybody else, and you've gotten 4 other quotes and they're all lower than me, that consumer's going to go, man, I'd really love to work with you, but gosh, they're 1/4% less for the same loan. And they're going to go with the other lender every time. You have to create choice. And here's the reason why. Choice creates ownership. That's the power of options. It creates choice, which creates ownership. Without choice, there's no ownership. Without choice, if I say, hey, Dave Savage, okay, here's what you were looking for. Here's my rate and fee on that. Here's what it would be. Do you want it? It's a do you want it or not question instead of a which one do you want question. And there's zero ownership on your part. It's nothing more than my idea. I want to make sure I create options. So value prop, here's the key to your value prop. It's something called the rule of 5s. You've got to follow the rule of 5s. What's the rule of 5s? It was a study done decades ago that proved out that consumers will buy things when given 5 reasons to do so in a much higher likeliness. It literally quadruples the likeliness of sale of any product or service. I applied this to my career 38 years ago when I started as a loan officer. And I was doing 23 loans when my colleagues were doing 3 and 4. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, simple. I'm giving them 5 reasons. I'm giving them the very 5 most powerful, best reasons right up front in the first 30 seconds why you should choose me over anybody on this planet. If you do that, you're going to win. And I used to make a really powerful statement to my borrowers at the end of my opening minute presentation. And here's what I'd say to them. And if I can't prove to you at the end of the time we work together that I'm the best loan officer on the planet with the best loan program you've ever seen that saves you more money than anybody else, I haven't earned your business and I won't ask for it. And I will tell you, consumers love that, because what they're hearing now is they're hearing confidence in you. They're hearing that you believe in yourself, that you're in it for them, not for us. Dave, you've heard me talk about the others first approach. That's what our whole company is built on, what we call the others first approach. It's my life verse. It's Philippians 2, 3, and 4. It says this: do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in all things with humility, value others above yourself, looking out for their interests and not your own. So if valuing other people is what the Bible tells me to do, which I'm going to do, and it's going to make a difference, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to show 5 ways that I can create value for you, because my competition's only showing you 1. Here's your rate, here's your payment. You go, well, that's 2. No, it's not. Rate and payment are the same thing, because the only thing rate affects in a mortgage loan is a payment. It doesn't affect anything else. Anybody can quote a rate and payment. I can hire 5th graders to quote rate and payments. And you know what? They'll buy from a fifth grader before they buy from an adult because everybody likes a 10-year-old. So we've got to create that value prop based on the rule of fives. We got to make sure we create options and choice. We got to make sure we build that relationship in between. You follow that triangle, you base it on integrity, you have an others first mindset, you will crush the numbers. You'll be the Superman of the t-shirt that I'm wearing to your customers every day.
Love that, guys. So guys, this is what we're talking about not doing. Rate, fee, cash to close. And to Dale's point, it's one thing, guys. It's price. And if this is how you're showing up for a family, first of all, you're commoditizing yourself. Here's my rate, here's my payment, go shop it. And guys, here at Mortgage Coach, I mean, this is what we believe in. Every family should get a total cost analysis. I am proud to say that little mortgage coach on the right, Dale, I don't think I've told you this number, but our community of loan officers created 1.7 million TCAs total cost in 2020, and they were viewed 5.5 million times. Guys, that means that, and I couldn't be more proud. Like, hey, I'm a SaaS entrepreneur. I don't want to come across like I'm a nonprofit. Like, I want members, I want to build shareholder value, but my bigger mission with Mortgage Coach, and I hope the legacy that I have, is that we reinvented how people get into debt. When people get into debt, they're getting an advice experience. They're getting options. Like, you could give a family one loan option in a Mortgage Coach TCA. I would say that you're hurting yourself, because this is how you should be doing refis. Column A, it's a current loan. Column B, it's their monthly savings. And maybe you show two, with points, without points. And then you say, hey, if you took that monthly payment and you prepaid your mortgage, look at how much faster you would pay off your home. And Dale, do you agree with that? Like, tactically, if you show, your speed to lead, you're on it, you open with a good value proposition, and then you give them options, and then you give them a strategy to build wealth with real estate, or you give them a strategy to pay off their mortgage faster. It's like, there's 20 things that you could do, but you're going to radically improve your conversion rate. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I couldn't agree more. Look, King Solomon in Proverbs 22:7 said, as the rich rules the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. Do you know, if you take that and you look back at the original translation of the word servant, it's actually translated today to the word slave. Debt is like slavery. It really is. And if any of us out there have ever been in debt in our life, where we were at a point where we didn't have the income we have today and we were hurting, we know what an awful feeling that is to a consumer. Our job should be to help them with that. It really should. So I totally agree with that. I think that's a great philosophy. That's one that that from 26 years ago, 25 years ago, when we worked together, that was a centerpiece of everything that I teach, is how to help customers make sure that they get options that help to improve and get them out of debt quicker. That's a great way to look at it.
Guys, so we got 6 minutes left. I want to make sure you guys know how to get more from Dale. I mean, anybody that's listening to this, you got 54 minutes of game-changing value. You learned how to build a sales culture. You heard from one of the best on sales meetings. You had Dan adding color. You got 3 things: speed to lead. You've probably heard that before. I would ask you to audit yourself, like go through all your leads. How long did it take to get back to those? Like, spend an hour and go through and take an audit on what your speed to lead was. Take an audit. Did you know things about that family beyond the transaction itself? Did you know what their goal was beyond that? Like, when they wanted to be debt-free? Did you know when if they want to move up and when they want to move up? Did you know things beyond the transaction? And of course, are you given options? If you're not given a total cost analysis or options to a family, you're not optimizing your place in this world as a mortgage professional. So Dale, if people want to learn more from you, where should they go, and how can they sign up to get trained by you?
So you can simply go to mortgagechampions.com if you're interested in training. We've got several different training programs. We've got Sales Lift, which is a quick 2-hour a really powerful version that we have that's kind of a podcast format. We've got Mortgage Champions training, which is full-blown training. We got team training. We got leadership training. We got basically anything you want. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to dalevermillion.com. That's where you can find out about me and my background and the things that I've done, both in the mortgage industry and the things I've done through the books that I've written and the work that I do with consumers nationally on radio programs across the country. Those are the two main places you can go to learn more about our company or myself or our training programs.
Love it. Well, I know you have a higher purpose. You know, whenever I ask you personally, you know, hey, feel free to tell people how to get trained a mortgage coach. You always say, hey, Dave, number one thing for me is some of the work you're doing and how you're helping people that need help. So tell everybody about your nonprofit.
Yeah, we started a nonprofit in 2006 called Mortgage Professionals Providing Hope. And the reason we did that is I took a life-changing trip in 2002 to central India. My wife and I had been sponsoring a little girl named Tirupatama for $1 a day, $30 a month. That was an orphan in India. And frankly, after 4 years of looking at her picture on my fridge, I couldn't take it anymore. And asked my wife, do you mind if I just fly to India? She's like, sure, I got a really nice wife. So I literally flew 55 hours door to door and met 4,000 orphans. And I tell the story, and it's really powerful. When I walked up to the orphanage, they were lined up a quarter mile down the road, singing and dancing and throwing flower petals. And I looked at the translator, I'm like, who's the party for? And he said, you. Excuse me? He's like, this is the way they celebrate their guests. And I went up to the first child and decided, well, I'm going to greet each child. I went up and hugged the first child, you know, look down in his eyes, and he looks up and he says, Uncle, what's my name? I'm like, I don't know, son, what's your name? He said, Raja. And I said his name. And I'm telling you, Dave, I will never forget the look on this child's face. His entire posture changed. His eyes lit up, his teeth lit up, his body posture changed. Next three kids, same exact question, same exact response. I finally asked the translator, why are they asking me that? I'll never forget his answer as long as I live. He said, these are nameless, faceless orphans who have no parents. They either have died or worse off, they're actually alive and they've turned these kids over to us because they can't afford to raise them. These kids want to know their name because they want to know they matter to you. They want to know they count. That changed my life, Dave. Literally, to look down that line and see these kids, it made everything different. So we started the organization. We have built an orphanage in India for almost 600 girls. We have been teaching kids in Guatemala who live in a garbage dump for years through a school that are 3-year-olds through 10-year-olds. We have housed 320 families now in America here, mostly single moms. My wife works with the homeless. She goes out and she drives Walmart parking lots and finds people living in their cars, and we house them. That's what we do. It's a 100% not-for-profit. Every dollar we take in, we give it directly back right to the organizations we serve and work with that go directly to these people to help them. I'm just a firm believer. You know, we all make a lot of money in this business. If we're not giving back, we're missing out on the greatest blessing God will ever give you. And that is the opportunity to change the life of another person. It's one thing to be able to make money and live a good life. It's a whole nother thing when you just give it back. And that's truly where my heart is at, is to help people that can't help themselves.
Whoa. I mean, we've talked about this before, and you haven't shared that story, but you've said, hey, you've told the story and you go to it. That really hit me in the heart. So if we just go to that link, we can donate money to it?
You can. If you go to mpph.org, Mortgage Professionals Providing Hope, but it's simply mpph.org. You can go on there, you can donate, you can learn about the things we're doing. You can contact our team and they can talk to you about it. You can make a difference overnight. You can become one of what we call a humble hero. We have a humble hero program where you can just, every month you can donate to help people. I was sharing with you, Dave, earlier that Scott Payne, who's a good friend of mine who runs a podcast, a national podcast, and he's a Velocify expert. I was on his show and he did a matching thing. We raised $10,000 in a matter of 30 days. And we were able to house 11 families in 1 month because of that one show. So look, if anybody wants to come join in and support, we would really appreciate it. And I can promise you 100% of the money is going to go straight to them. I fund the organization through my business. We don't take $1 of the money we get for any other purpose than to give to people who need it.
Well, dude, I am going to click on that button after this call. I am going to donate $1,000 personally. I don't say that number to put pressure on anybody,
Awesome.
but Dale has been on, this will be the 3rd or 4th call. And I love the story. I do believe, guys, as referral-based mortgage professionals, we kill it. You know, one of the things I love about Dan and Jeremy, you know, not only do they have goals around how much money they make, they have goals around how much money they save, which mortgage professionals, too many loan officers make a lot of money, don't save enough. But I know Dan has goals and Jeremy has goals, and a lot of the people I interview on how much they give. So if you got some value, no pressure, like $1, $10. I assume that people can give any amount of money, $5, $10. I usually say, like when I close the call, I go, hey, give us a like. If you got value, give us a like, give us a love, share this with your mortgage friends. But if you really got value from today's call, donate a few dollars. Click on that button. Dan, any closing words from you, brother?
Oh man, Dale, you're first class, bud. It was just such an honor to be on this call with you. And I in my opinion, this is one of the best sales training calls that I've ever been on. So really great to meet you, man. Your heart's in the right place and you're first class, brother.
Dan, I appreciate that very much. That's way too kind. Don't deserve that, but I appreciate that. And hey, feelings mutual. Great to meet you and great to work with you. Thanks for all that you added. And Dave, you know, I love you, man. We've known each other a long, long time. Thank you for the donation. That means a lot to me. And thanks for having me here. I hope this was super helpful to everybody out there and really help people in the community to be able to hit 2021 running.
Let's rock it out, guys. Have an awesome week, everybody. Every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, we are bringing leadership. I'm interviewing amazing people. Every Friday at 9 o'clock, we're doing a mastermind. And then, guys, I want to remind everybody, I'm all about training. You got to train. Every Friday, 11 o'clock Pacific, we will train you to be a black belt in mortgage advice. So whether it's a rate and term refi, whether it's a cash out refi, whether it's a TBD purchase and they don't have a home in escrow, if they've got a home in escrow, we're going to teach you how to give options and we're going to teach you how to give advice. So that part of your value prop is there. So check us out. Do donate to Dale. If you do give money, consider it. And guys, if you are getting trained by Dale and you sign up for some of his training, I would love to interview you and hear what you're doing and how you're doing it. This call's a wrap. Take care, everybody.
God bless, guys. Thank you.